Hi, I'm Sherry Strong, author and illustrator of Return to Food, the Life-Changing Anti-Diet. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this book that has actually been 14 years in the making. Not that I've focused 14 years just looking at the book and researching, but it's been an evolution of my understanding of my own relationship with food, my body, and the environment, and that with many of the clients that I've actually worked with over those years. There's the cover. You can see the back and the front and the spine. And here are some testimonials that you can actually check out both on the website and on the Indiegogo campaign to see that there's some very interesting people who are actually supporting this book and this project. People like Theo Fleury, who's a client of mine, and Brett Wilson, W. Brett Wilson. So Theo's an NHL hockey legend and a best-selling author for his book Playing with Fire, and most recently Conversations with a Rattlesnake with Kim Barthel. And W. Brett Wilson was on the Dragon's Den and is an entrepreneur and philanthropist who I've actually worked with. And John Benson, who was the author of Fit Over 40 and many health books in fitness books, and now is an entrepreneur in the internet marketing space. Shalina Brakel and Caleb Jennings, who are the co-founders of Young and Raw, an awesome site, and Mariel Hemingway and Bobby Williams, who are the authors of Running with Nature. So some pretty interesting people are actually supporting this book, and I would dearly love your support as well. So it started out as a little book based on what I did was for my best friend's 40th birthday. She was moving and getting married and flying away to London, and I wanted to get her something special. So what I did was I took one of these little green cloth-bound books you can actually see here, and I started to, well, I actually wrote and illustrated her life story in the book. And her and her husband are prolific readers, and her husband's a novelist and children's book author. And he suggested that the philosophies that I was teaching, this would actually be a really good vehicle to express them in. And so I started to write the illustrations in the book, draw the illustrations in the book with the philosophies with it, and it evolved into something more. Now, just to give you a bit of background on myself, if you don't already know who I am, my background's as a chef and nutritionist. I was the Victorian Chair of Nutrition Australia, the Melbourne Head of Slow Food, and did a lot of interesting things in the food and wellness space, and a lot of television, cooking classes around the world, speaking at conferences around the world with really amazing people. And just, yeah, that's been probably one of the highlights of my life, is all the different speaking opportunities that I've had. And so I have had an illustrious career as a nutritionist, chef, and professional speaker in the food and wellness area, which I have branded myself as a food philosopher. And so that's kind of the credibility piece of where I'm actually coming from. But it wasn't always that way, kind of the classic story. I used to be twice my size, and as you can see there, I had brown hair. That's my natural hair color before it started to go silver and white. And I had a pathological attraction to horizontal stripes. Anyway, I was not a terribly happy person at that point in my life, and I had tried dieting hopelessly and realized that it just didn't work. Every diet I went on, I ended up getting bigger than when I started, kind of that elastic band effect. And I have actually, over the years, developed this healthy relationship with food and my body and the environment, and it's an ongoing evolution, I'll add. And I have lost the weight without dieting or spending my life in the gym. And as a result, I've been invited to share these philosophies around the world, and that's where I've met amazing people like Mariel Hemingway and Bobby Williams and David Wolfe, where we've spoken at conferences together. So I've given you a bit of background about myself and told you that I have halved my size through returning to eating real food. And I really am passionate about getting that message across. And so this book is really explaining how I did this, how I've actually done this with clients. And if any of this actually strikes a chord with you, then this book would be of great value to you. So if you're tired and you want more energy, you experience nutritional confusion, you'd like to enjoy food without worry, you'd love clarity about what you eat, and you don't believe that diets really work, but you're thinking, what does work? And you want to feel better consistently, this is the book for you. It features 50 plant-based chef-endorsed recipes. Of course, that chef is me. And 40 illustrations by the author. Again, that's myself. So these quirky little illustrations that supplement the points I'm trying to make in the book. And there are 5 philosophies that I've been teaching for the last 14 years that really do make a difference to how people relate to food, their body, and the environment in a much more healthy, organic, natural way that is delicious and not deprivational and punitive. It's really about really grasping the true pleasure of food and how it nourishes, energizes, and protects your body. There's many stories in the book that are transformational stories from clients that I've actually worked with over the years. And this really is a new way of looking at food that truly is revolutionary. And so much so, I'm starting a food revolution. So just if you have some time and you want to go through the contents of the book, here they are. So chapter 1 is the cost of fast and easy. Chapter 2 is the lethal recipe. Chapter 3 is nature's principle. Chapter 4 is the consumption concept. And chapter 5 is hypernourishment. Chapter 6 is the universal recipe for healing. And chapter 7 is love, sweet love, and food, sweet food. And chapter 8 is really about the holistic path. And then we go into the recipes. And there are all other kinds of little bits and bonuses in the book. So the foreword, as I mentioned before, in the other video, is written by Mariel Hemingway, who is a dear friend and a true wellness warrior. And the book is really about ditching the diet mentality. So really helping us to know that we need to actually have a new level of consciousness around our food in order to solve the problems around it, as Albert Einstein suggests. Okay, it's about ending this concept of perfect eating and trying to be, the perfect dieter. And there's an illustration of I wrote a letter to perfect eating, and I talk about the lethal recipe in chapter 2. You're going to find out all about that, about when natural food becomes unnatural and how it actually impacts our body. We're going to talk about some controversial things like genetically modified organisms and things that are actually manufactured with GMOs. We're going to talk about the antidote to a lot of the problems of how we're actually facing our mentality around food, and that's nature's principle, because nature, as Aristotle said, does nothing uselessly. And so it really gives us an insight about how we're meant to eat according to nature. And there is no one diet for any one people across the globe. There's many different ways this actually manifests itself. I'm going to tell you something about the most amazing banana story. This is the story that when I speak to clients and audiences around the world, people never forget the story, and it really does change the way they look at the food that they're eating. The consumption concept, this was the concept that I gave the TED Talk in 2009 in Tokyo on this concept. And it's basically on the premise that you'd eat completely differently if you had to source your own food in nature. And this is a really interesting topic for getting you to understand and relate to food in a more natural way, and how it is and how much we're meant to be eating of it. Hypernourishment, this is the concept that I've actually been using with clients, where I've had a dramatic change in how people have actually shifted their mentality and their relationship with nourishment, not just physically in their food and exercise, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And when we start to work in removing the toxicity in those areas, in all areas of our life, and starting to bring in nourishment and hypernourishment, healing accelerates. So, and we talk a bit about addiction and processed food. I love this quote. Addiction is your body telling you you're not listening to your soul. Chapter 6 is the universal recipe for healing. So this is the what do we do, starting to listen to our body. And chapter 7 is really about that all-important, most important nutrient ever, love, sweet love, and food, sweet food. With a poem that I actually have presented many places around the world that really is quite a moving tribute to how it is we're actually meant to be eating. We're meant to eat together. And this is one of the illustrations from a French proverb that says, where love sets the table, food tastes its best. So chapter 8 is the holistic path and finding your own way. And then we move into the recipes, and there are over 50 recipes. And in the epilogue, I share the holistic hero's journey. And just as a last thing, what I'm offering to the first 1,000 books that are sold is for you to get your own Return to Food book bonuses. This is digital bonuses worth over $197. So 2 DVDs that I filmed in Australia, a calming meditation that I filmed at Contemplation Point on Bowen Island, and 5 exclusive videos of conversations with masters. So these are people who I totally respect and admire, who are helping people develop a healthier relationship with life, to be quite honest, not just food, but life. And then a video and PDF on how to pack a holistic travel kitchen in your suitcase and the Return to Food Eating Out Guide. So those will all be available December 1st when you purchase the book on the Indiegogo campaign. And just to give you a little bit of feedback from people who have actually been clients of mine or have gone through the 8-module Return to Food program, the online program, people are basically saying that it really is amazing. It's an outstanding program, that it's comprehensive, and this program is really based on the work that's in the book. So there is very exciting feedback that's actually coming back from the book, and I would love yours. I'd love you to read this book. I'd love you to purchase a signed copy or any one of the perks on the Indiegogo campaign, because I truly know that this book does have the potential to be a life changer, a game changer in your life, and to contribute to you actually living in a body where you literally wake up feeling fit and fabulous. So the last thing I'd like to leave you with is a thank you for listening this far. Thank you if you, another additional huge jumping up in the air, heartfelt thank you if you participate in the Indiegogo campaign. And even if it's not for you, if you know someone you think will actually benefit from it, if you could share it on your Facebook page or Twitter or social media or even in emails, I would be so incredibly grateful. There is a Return to Food revolution that's starting. I would love you to be part of it, and the first step is to read the book. I hope you enjoy every single illustration, page, and recipe, and thanks so much.